topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning, Pennsylvania. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show. We you the finest experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. This is our 12th year, and this is one of the shows that I do, if you want to call it an opening monologue, that I take a little bit more time doing. This is one of my favorite shows to do, and the reason why is we have what I consider the top workers' comp attorney in the state of Pennsylvania. Michael's been with us for about 3 years, and just the way he explains the law to you, it just makes the show so easy to do. And you're going to learn on this show that if you're injured at work on the job, that you need Michael Cardamone, and you're not going to have to write a check like you would with most cases. So let me welcome you to Ask the Experts, our great expert attorney, Michael Cardamone.
Good morning, Steve. How are you today?
I never spend that much time opening the show, but you are so worth it, Michael. The way you explain law, the way I love the fact that all you do is workers' comp law. You've seen everything there is to see out there, which means when a client retains you, you're going to have a very good idea of what you can do for them. And I just want to welcome you. We're so blessed to have you. Tell everybody about your firm, Michael.
Sure. So we're a small workers' comp boutique firm, pardon me, and we're 100% representing the injured workers. We don't represent the insurance companies and bounce around like some of the attorneys. Attorney Silver and myself practice exclusively in workers' comp for the injured workers. We're small, but we're well respected, and we like to think that we know what we're doing because we do just specialize in workers' comp, and we're able to really make an impact in our cases because of that. We're able to know what kind of evidence to present and how to write the arguments and what petitions to file and these kind of things. So we have offices throughout the state. Our main office is in Lansdale, Pennsylvania, outside of Philadelphia, and we have a Center City, Philadelphia office as well. And we're lean but mean, and at the same time, we're friendly and accessible. So we really try to stand out by being compassionate to our clients. They're going through a really tough time, and be patient with them and to explain things as best as we can. It's like another language for them. So we have to translate the workers' comp intricacies and nuances into sort of layman's terms. And we've gotten really good at that. And that really makes the client more comfortable with the process. It's a scary process. You don't know if you're going to have a check to pay your bills. And so, we are proud in terms of what the work we do and the impact that we're making one case at a time.
It's funny, Michael, you always say we're small, and I think about David and Goliath. And Goliath was, David was small. When it comes to workers' comp, you know and understand workers' comp. And, I haven't mentioned this in a long time. We get several local attorneys who handle workers' comp cases who actually listen to your show, Michael, and have bragged on you, which normally is not the case. We usually get people going, hey, I'm better than them, and they have a bad record. But I have never had that happen since you started with the show. Nothing but nice things. And these are your peers talk about your firm.
Yeah, it's nice to hear that. Workers' comp is a fairly small niche community in terms of the attorneys on both sides of the fence. And, I really try to make sure we're practicing in an ethical way, a friendly way, but also be zealous advocates for our clients. And I think, an attorney is able to walk those fine lines where you're passionate and representing your client to the very best of your ability, but without being a jerk to the other side, to be civil with them. And I think I've, been fortunate enough to do that and not have too many enemies, hopefully.
No, you are very well respected, very well liked. Michael, people don't understand how you get paid, which makes it so much easier for someone to have an attorney, as good as you are. Explain how you charge for your service.
Sure. And that really is the number one question, Steve, that people will ask. If they haven't been through the system, they are confused. They think they have to send us a check or a retainer or, something like that. And it's a contingent fee system. And that means we only get paid if we advance the case, meaning we get somebody workers' comp checks that they're not already getting, or if they're already on workers' comp and the insurance company's coming after their checks to allege an earning power or a full recovery, and we defeat them in court, then we'll get paid. It's a 20% fee in Pennsylvania, or if we settle the case. And I think the stats bear out the fact that injured workers will double or triple their settlements or net, benefits with an attorney on their side. So we really have to impress this upon people that call us, that they do not have to send money. Some of them don't believe us. And then they call some other firms and hear the same thing and then circle back and then hire us at a lot of times. So the contingent fee system is great. I always talk about how it levels the playing field, because the insurance company adjusters and their team of attorneys, they know what they're doing, and they know how to set traps and lower the value of a case. So the injured workers, the earlier they lawyer up, the better their case tends to go, and the more benefits they're able to get. So it's a really nice part of the law where somebody might be broke or living check to check, and they can still get the attorney representing them. And, their earning power is on the line here. It's really stressful for injured workers. So we tell them, listen, it might sound self-serving. It just happens to be the truth. You will do better if you hire us. So yeah, the system is a fantastic one. And it's really similar to personal injury. It's just a lower fee. We have a 20% fee in workers' comp, unlike a personal injury case, which, tends to be 33%, sometimes 40%.
Where do most of your injuries come from, Michael? Are they construction?
There's really a wide array of different areas of the workforce where we get our clients. Construction, definitely. A lot of healthcare workers, nurses, CNAs who are assisting patients in and out of a bathtub, and somebody slips and their back goes out. Or lifting a heavy patient, maybe from a wheelchair. Slip and falls are common in all types of industries, from a wet floor, sometimes even in a bathroom or at a hallway or on the steps. We have warehouse workers, a lot of Amazon workers, truck drivers, accidents, car accidents, as long as it's in the course of employment. So there's really no limit. They come from all over the place. I've even had a a case several years ago with a wind energy engineer who would get up and install things for, turbines. And
Right.
so it's nice. The neat thing about what we do is we really get to see where the jobs are in the economy. But I've definitely seen a shift in the last 5 years, a lot more healthcare workers than before. And, that's that's understandable given what they do and how they have to hustle and the fact that it's a very hands-on job.
Michael, will an adjuster keep calling them if they have a lawyer?
Once we submit our letter of representation saying we're representing an injured worker, the adjuster is not supposed to contact the injured worker by phone. They might write them a letter, but they would have to include us on it. So that's a nice thing about representation is they sort of get the adjuster or the claims rep off their back. And so, they'll have to contact us instead of sort of harassing them. Some of them are very aggressive with, making sure they go to their appointments and, and trying to small talk to find out other things going on in their life that then maybe they could pin the injury on. And so the quicker the injured worker lawyers up, the better in that regard as well, because the adjusters might be good people and they have a job to do. And I understand that, but they're not on their side. They're trying to pay out as little as they can on these claims. Sometimes the injured workers don't really fully understand that dynamic. They're saying, well, this person's nice and they're small talking and they're very friendly. And they forget the fact that it's very adversarial. But yeah, the bottom line is the adjuster can't contact them directly anymore if they retain us.
Can a person see their own doctor if they're involved with workers' comp injury?
Yeah, great question. So this is something that really can vary state to state. For example, in New Jersey, they have control over the doctor that you see. In Pennsylvania, they do, but only in the first 90 days. And only in that first 90 days if they meet certain technical requirements in terms of showing the injured worker the list when they're hired, showing them the list again after they give notice of an injury, having a certain amount of doctors, et cetera. So there's some technicalities involved, but in general, in Pennsylvania, you're subject to seeing we call them panel doctors for the insurance companies, and they tend to minimize people's conditions and try to get them back to work. And then after that 90 days, they're free to see anybody they want. So once we get them past that 90-day period, it really helps the case because they're able to go to someone more objective, and it's going to be a better advocate for them usually than the panel doctors.
So, is that a benefit if you get past the panel doctors? Is that a benefit to the case?
Absolutely. Yeah, it really is. And a lot of times we'll suggest to our clients, hey, here's a good pain management doctor that's reputable and that's willing to testify if there's court, or here's a good orthopedic surgeon, or here's a good, chiropractor, et cetera. So it's really a huge benefit to get to that 90-day mark. Now, sometimes in that 90-day period, they withdraw or revoke their acceptance of a case, meaning the benefits will stop on a dime, and then we have to appeal it and go to court. And they can see any doctor they want, but workers' comp's not liable at that point. So it really depends on the situation. But yes, generally, you hit that 90-day mark, you're in much better shape because you're going to have a doctor who's going to be a better advocate for you and generally give you better treatment and more specialized treatment. The panel doctors tend to be family doctors. Nothing wrong with them. We all need family doctors at times. But for these kind of injuries, a lot of times they're not real helpful. They're a little bit generic with with the care that they give.
So if you get hurt at work and somewhere, and are you forced to see who they send you to first?
Yeah, if they meet those technical requirements, then yeah, you got to see the panel doctors in the first 90 days. And sometimes they don't meet those technical requirements, and then you can go anywhere you want. The reality is, the way I should say it is, you can go anywhere you want for treatment, but if you go outside the panel, workers' comp may not pay for it, and then you're going to have a dilemma on your hands with the insurance and the private insurance carrier. The regular insurance might say, "Hey, we're not paying for this because you alleged it's a work-related injury." So you can treat outside the panel, but you take a risk.
Hey, I'm sorry to our audience. We have a bad storm here in South Florida that it thundered and everything went out. But we're back with you, Michael. With insurance companies, do they investigate the person's background who's injured?
Yeah, they'll
Or have I
really
watched too
investigate.
many movies?
No, it's part of the process, and if you're on that side of the fence, you got to do your due diligence, so to speak, and find out, did they have any, if it's a back injury, did they have any prior back injuries, and if so, when and where did you treat, and try to get those records to figure out, okay, what's related to what, and and then they're also investigating social media to see if somebody is doing something inconsistent with what they're telling the doctors. And they can do the old-fashioned surveillance where they follow you around, in a van with
They
tinted
really
windows.
do that?
Yeah, yeah, it still
Wow.
happens, and they'll try to make a big deal over every little thing, and then the injured worker will have a chance to explain it and state that, okay, I was carrying 3 pounds of groceries, but I got to feed my family, and at work I had to lift 50-pound boxes. So I'm not doing anything inconsistent, but I'll tell you, the insurance company, you should see these reports, that the injured worker is not wincing and they're not using any orthopedic devices and they appear to be moving about freely and not in any pain. And, yeah, they love to do the surveillance, but there has been a shift in the last, 5-10 years towards more social media investigation, looking at YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, these kind of things to see what somebody's up to and, how active they are, these kind of things.
What happens, and I don't think I've ever asked you this question before, but what happens with taxi drivers, Uber drivers, Lyft drivers that say hurt their back lifting up heavy objects? Do they fall into the category of workers' comp?
I think the case law in Pennsylvania is generally that they're considered independent contractors. I'm not aware off the top of my head of any precedent where they're being deemed to be employees. Now the issue is one of control. Some people can be called an independent contractor, but in reality, if the employer is directing them where to go and telling them how to do their job and these kind of things, the issue is control. The more control, the more likely a judge will deem them to be an employee, not an independent contractor. So I can't remember. There was an unemployment compensation case, I think, on that issue, and I can't remember how it was decided. But overall, there's I think a tendency to find that those drivers are not in the course of employment because they're independent contractors.
Gotcha. What about what causes a workers' comp case to end up in court?
A lot of different things. There may be a dispute over whether somebody's fully recovered or not. And that's really the gold in terms of the insurance company, what they're shooting for. Either get a treating doctor or more often an independent medical examiner to say, hey, somebody's fully recovered. Then they'll file a petition to terminate. And the injured worker will have a series of hearings to present their case and the insurance company to present their case. So that's a big one. The other thing is that an injured worker might have an earning power. Say they were a truck driver and they had to lift and deliver a lot of boxes every day. They might get a vocational expert involved to say, okay, John Doe can't do truck driving anymore because he had to lift a lot of freight and stuff and deliveries. But we think he could now work, let's say, at McDonald's. And therefore, we should judge be paying less per week because we think he has an earning power. So that ends up in court a lot too, that issue. And also what diagnoses are work related and which ones aren't. You know, is this does the person have a herniation, or is it a sprain or a strain? Or if they had a herniation before, was it aggravated by the work injury? And you have doctors, you know, with opinions all over the place on these kind of things. So a lot of times we're in court, not because of the attorneys, but because the medical evidence is like, on one side you're saying X, the other side saying, oh, this is just degenerative arthritis. And that drives these cases in the court a lot. Another issue could be what treatment is reasonable and necessary. Is this surgery something this person needs? Or that they just need pain management? So there's a real variety of issues where these things end up in court. And I try to tell our clients or potential clients this, that look, you may be coasting along right now getting your check, but they want to put you in court and it's going to happen soon. So you should get someone to monitor your case early to situate it properly and to, you know, to maximize the value of your case.
How long do these cases go on when they go to court?
They can go on for years. You could be in and out of court on different issues. You might just be there once for one petition. You might just be there for a settlement hearing. So it really depends. Once you're in court on a given petition, let's say, for example, they're claiming you're fully recovered and you're disputing it. Once they file that petition, the petition to terminate benefits, from start to finish, it's generally about a year to get that final decision from the judge. The good news is about 80% of the time the cases will settle once they're in court for litigation. We'll have mediation set up to try to settle it. And so, you know, a small percentage of them go to the final decision in the grand scheme of things.
How long does it usually take to get a settlement?
Really depends. Yeah, exactly. I know it sounds cliche, but it's true. You know, if I had to come up with an average out of all the cases, I'd probably say 6 to 9 months after an injury, an average case would settle. If it's a more serious injury, it tend to take longer because you might want your client to get their surgery and their post-surgical therapy and things like that, see where they kind of level out in terms of their condition and their restrictions before you try to settle it. Other people are in a financial bind and they need to settle it for those reasons. And so it really is all over the place. There are some cases that settle, you know, a month after the injury happens for a small settlement. So, and then some of them can take 10, 20 years. So it is all over the place, but I'd probably say 6 to 9 months, maybe a year would be the average.
God, Michael, what does a person do when their case takes 5, 6, 7, 8 years?
It's really tough. You know, some people are forced back into a lighter duty job, which sort of cuts against the value of their case. But, you know, sometimes people are able to live on savings. Sometimes people are already on the workers' comp check and they're surviving. Maybe they're hanging by a thread, but they're able to meet their obligations. Sometimes people will try to take out a loan. We don't really recommend that because the interest rates tend to be exorbitant. You know, they might take out $5,000 and then they're paying back $8,500, you know, 6 months later. So there's different ways people sort of piecemeal these things together to survive. Sometimes people are on unemployment comp, you know, while they're waiting for the workers' comp case to go through all the way. So it really depends.
What do you do? Say someone's got an old injury, say from football, and they get hurt on the job. How do you handle that when there was an old injury also involved?
Yeah, it's really up to the medical evidence and the doctor to make the distinction between the old injury and the new one, to look at the MRI findings, to look at the clinical findings and say, okay, they had this previously, but now they have this. Or maybe the MRI findings are similar, but clinically they're worse. Their pain is worse, or it's in a different area. And also, you want to look at the timeline. If they had an injury in high school and now they're 30, and you get their family doctor records and you show no treatment or complaints of back pain, for example, it'll be a much easier case because there's a big gap in time. If someone got injured, 3 weeks before the work injury, let's say they were lifting weights at a gym, and then they get hurt at work 3 weeks later, that's going to be more contested by the insurance company to figure out what's related to what. And again, it'll be up to the doctor to make the case to say, okay, this is either an aggravation of the injury that you had a month ago and or a new injury. And then they have to explain their reasoning. And so, but yeah, when someone has a pre-existing condition, the insurance companies, they love that. And they use that to defend a lot of these cases. And, all we have to show is an aggravation and we win. But it doesn't stop them from denying these claims. They really, once they hear about a prior injury to the same body part, it's like a knee-jerk reaction for them. Nope, we're going to deny it. And then the issue is getting all the records, making sure your doctor has all the records to review them, to be able to make that case.
Do you ever have clients that don't like their doctor or they want to get a second opinion?
Oh, yeah, frequently. Especially with surgeons. And I don't want to pick on them because they do great work and we all need them at times. But a lot of times after the surgery and they can confirm there's no, infection, and they kind of turn you over to physical therapy, they tend to paint a rosier picture of the person's condition than maybe the reality. And maybe there's some medical malpractice fears. I'm not sure what drives that, but a lot of times the injured worker will say, they're saying that I'm fine and I can do full duty work now. And I can't. I have gotten better from the surgery, but I'm not all the way back. And then we'll sort of divert them, so to speak, to a pain management doctor who might be better able to talk about pain and provoke it and discuss it in a deposition, and to be a little more compassionate and understand that, yes, somebody may have gotten better from surgery, but not all the way back to their pre-injury levels. So that happens a lot where we have clients saying, the doctor I feel like they're turning on me a little bit. Do you have anyone else we could go to? And there could be other reasons too. Their bedside manner, or they keep them waiting for an hour and a half in the waiting room every time, So there's a host of reasons they don't like their doctors at times, but I try not to steer people away from the doctor if they're happy with them. We're just able to give them advice when they want to make that move.
Well, I got to tell you, if you want a true and honest answer to your injury claim, Attorney Michael Cardamone is the best at that. Michael, give everybody your phone number and your website.
Sure. So the phone number is 215-206-9068. And online, we're at cardamonelaw.com. That's CARDAMONELAW. So cardamonelaw.com.
Michael, I always enjoy doing your show. I appreciate the educational information you give to our audience, and have a wonderful, wonderful week. And we'll see you again. We're always on the last Wednesday of the month, so it's easy to keep up with. He comes on at 10 o'clock Eastern time. Michael, thank you so much.
Thank you, Steve. Looking forward to seeing you soon.
See you soon. That's Attorney Michael Cardamone. He's a workers' comp attorney, one of the best, I am telling you. And you know what? You don't have to write him a check to go in to see him. It's all done on a contingency basis, meaning, if you get money, then he'll get money. And so there's no excuse not to contact him. That's it for us today. We'll be back again with you next week with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Experts show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.